Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and another video in my series of free themed flower pot designs. I've been releasing these regularly throughout the whole of 2025 and I thought it's time for another one. This flower pot has got a lovely little child and father sunflower coming out of the pot and they've got the most adorable little faces on them. I created this design with Father's Day in mind. Now, as you know, I have been releasing themed designs. We've got birthday, St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, Easter, etc. And they've all been quite easy to get the theme in. But for Father's Day, I found it a little bit tricky to think of what to do. I wanted to stay away from being too stereotypical with sports or beer or barbecues and grilling, that kind of thing. I wanted something that would work for any dad, no matter what their interests would be. So I came up with this cute little design showing the little daddy sunflower and his child just chilling in their flower pot, enjoying a lovely summer's day. But what's quite nice about this is it isn't specifically Father's Day themed, so you could just make it as an everyday project if you wanted to as well. It looks lovely when framed in a shadow box such as this example, but it can also be shrunk down to go on a greetings card. This is a 5x7 inch card with the design in the middle, and then I used Cricut Design Space to add some clouds and a little bit of grass behind it to build up a scene. If you do want to make it a bit more dad focused, you can add some wording to the front, such as I've done here, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. But first, you're going to need to download the free cut file, so here is how to find it. You can find the free files to make this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs. Or click the link in the description of this video to go to the tutorial where you can download straight from that page. You'll need to register a free account on my website in order to download any of the designs. The download comes in a zip folder. Before you can get the files into your cutting machine software, you'll need to unzip that folder. Visit craftwithsarah.com/help for instructions on how to do that, as well as a wide range of other tutorials on how to use your Cricut, Silhouette or Scan and Cut machine. Open up Cricut Design Space and start a new project. Press Upload over on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the download. Within there you'll see lots of subfolders with numbers down the side. For Cricut Design Space it's nice and easy. You want the SVG file in the 01 Cricut version folder. If you're using a Silhouette or a Scan and Cut machine or a different type of cutting machine, head to craftwithsarah.com/help, choose your type of machine from the list of options on the page, and then there are separate videos and tutorials in there on how to use my files with your particular type of cutting machine. But for Design Space, we'll go straight in the 01 Cricut version, and within there should just be one file which starts SVG-01 in the file name. Click and drag that in, and this is what it looks like. Press Continue, and then you don't need to change anything on this next screen, just press Upload. And then it will insert the project onto your canvas. Close this window to get it out the way by clicking the arrow that appears about halfway down the page. The design loads in at 7 inches tall, which is a great size to cut out, but of course you can resize it however big or small you want. To resize it, make sure the padlock icon above the width and the height boxes is closed. If yours is open, click it to close it. Then you can resize either the width or the height, press enter on your keyboard and the other measurement changes too so that everything stays in proportion. If you're planning on making this design into a shadow box frame or to put it on a greetings card, you might want to build up some extra layers of the design on the screen before you start cutting it out. Let's take a look at some examples. I measured the spacer inside my shadow box and created a square the same size as the spacer, and then built up some extra layers to add all the details you can see on the screen now. For a full video walkthrough on how to design your own detailed backgrounds in either Cricut Design Space, Silhouette Studio, or Canvas Workspace for Scan and Cut machines, head to craftwithsarah.com/classes. This contains my membership classes. These are exclusive to the Craft with Sarah membership. Every single month, a brand new papercraft class is created and released, which you can enjoy. To find out more about the membership, including all the other benefits that you get as part of being a member, head to craftwithsarah.com/join. For this particular design, I used some sunflower images from Cricut Access and I sliced them up to just show the little bits you can see here, and then I copied and pasted them all the way around to build up the frame. Let's take a look at a greetings card example too. Here's the design shrunk down to go on a greetings card. So for this one, I've made the sunflower design just under 6 inches tall. It's 5.8 something to fit on a 5x7 inch card. And once again, I've built up some background layers, added some clouds and some grass. And also this time, to make it a bit more Father's Day themed, I put the word Dad along the bottom of the flower pot and then extended the darker brown piece to go around it to make it really look like it all belongs. The same shadow box class I just mentioned can also be used exactly the same to make up backgrounds for your greetings cards too. But what I will do as part of this video is to show you how you can add a dad image onto the bottom of the flower pot so that you can make it really Father's Day themed. I've gone back to my original design here without any of those extra details. So this is exactly how it loads in, apart from I did resize it a little bit bigger to 9 inches. You could either use the text tool to type out a name or a word, or use images. I'm going to use images as I have the Cricut Access subscription. I think this will be a little bit quicker, and also I'll get a nice decorative dad image. I'll go in here and type out dad, press enter on the keyboard. To filter it down to more suitable images, press advanced search along the bottom, and then when it loads, scroll down and choose the operation type as cut only, unless you want to draw it with the pens, which would work too. I'm going to do it for cut, and then I want this just to be one layer, so under image layers choose single, and that will filter it down a little bit. Because this will be cut from cardstock, you want to choose something where all the letters are touching, or at least most of them are touching. For Dad, it's not that bad anyway, because it's only 3 letters. But if you were doing something like Happy Father's Day, where there's a lot more, you would want it all to be touching. Also bear in mind, this will be cut quite small to go on the flower pot size, so go for something simple. This is the one I'm going to use. You probably recognise it from the greetings card design you just chose. This one would work really nicely too, because it would cut out all of the gaps in the middle, although you will have to stick on the middle of the D, A and D. Those little black circles, you'd need to glue them on separately. But ones like these, where there's a lot more going on, wouldn't work very well for this unless you cut it from adhesive vinyl and stuck it on like a sticker with your transfer tape, or heat transfer vinyl, rather than cardstock, because you don't want to be sticking all of those teeny tiny thin letters together with cardstock. That would be really hard to glue. So I'm going for this one. It's simple, it's bold, it'll fit nicely, it'll cut nicely at a small size, and also because it's quite sort of curvy and retro, it matches the vibe of my sunflowers too. And if you want to do the exact same one, there is the image number. You can type into the search in Design Space to find it. Make sure you include the hashtag at the front, otherwise if you just type out the code without the hashtag, it probably won't recognize it. Okay, add to canvas, and then view, and here it is. And then close out of there. Click on the flower pot and separate out all the layers by pressing the ungroup button at the top of the layers panel. And then I'll resize this to how I want it to appear. And you could just glue it on like this in whatever colour you want, but I thought it would be nice to extend down the bit along the middle. So to do that, get it positioned where you want it to go, then press offset with the dad layer selected. This will make a border around the edge. That's a bit too thick, so drag it smaller. Make sure it doesn't go outside the edge of the flower pot. Well, that's looking good. Press apply. Hover your mouse over the original layer in the layers panel and click the eye icon to hide it, and then click and make this the same colour as the stripe on the flower pot. Click the stripe on the flower pot, press Shift on your keyboard and choose that offset layer. You can see in the Layers panel I've now got those both selected. Then press Combine, Weld to join them into one. Now this will all cut out as one piece of cardstock. When you weld, it brings it to the front of the Layers panel to the top, which is why we now can't see that top ridge along. So drag and drop it back underneath. It goes in between those two brown coloured layers. And then turn the original one back on and change the colour to whatever you want to cut it out as. And there you go. That's how you can customise it to add a little bit of extra detail for Father's Day. When you're happy with how your project looks and you're ready to cut it out, press Make over on the top right of the screen. This will separate out all the cardstock into the various colours. You can change the paper size in the drop down here, and you will need to do that individually for each separate colour. You can also drag and drop to move things about to use up less space on your cardstock. Just make sure when you're doing this that no pieces overlap, otherwise they won't cut out properly. So go through all the colours, get your papers looking exactly as you want, and then press Continue to connect to your Cricut machine and get everything cut out from cardstock. I've got all the pieces of my cute little sunflowers cut out, and I've laid them on top of each other in the correct order, following the assembly guide that's included in the download folder. This is so that I can check I'm happy with all the colours and that I haven't missed any of the little pieces along the way. We'll be putting this together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is Barely Art Glue, but I also like Kalal, and the reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like other glues can do. Use foam squares to add dimension. The ones I'm using are from Dot & Dab, but any will do. If yours are big, you might need to cut them smaller with scissors to fit behind some of the smaller shapes. As with all my layered designs, we're going to start at the bottom and then work upwards, so I need to move all these pieces away now. Try and keep them in a vague order because you've already gone to the effort of getting them in place. You don't want to completely ruin it. So I'll keep the sunflowers together, also the layers of the pot, and then move these two apart, and then we're left with the very bottom two pieces, which are these green ones. Glue the lighter one onto the darker one. Next up, we've got another light coloured layer. This will make the leaves on the smaller sunflower, and this one will be stuck on with foam squares to make it pop out from the stem of the bigger sunflower. When you're adding foam squares to big pieces of card like this, it's important to not only go around the edge, but also to go in the middle of any large areas of card. That means that it's nice and stable and level for all the pieces that will be stuck on top. If you didn't put anything in the middle, your card will go downwards like this under the weight of itself and also the other layers that will go on top, which means you won't end up with a consistent layering effect, and it won't look quite as good as it does if you put those foam squares in the middle. So you can see here, as well as going around the edge, I'm also going to put some in that great big space in the middle of the flower pot. Try and get some in the leaves too, as well as any other sticky out pieces on whichever bit you're adding the foam squares to. Then peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. I've actually just realised, that serves me right for not having the assembly guide in front of me, that this isn't actually the next piece to go on. It's actually this bit, which will be glued on top to make the backing petals of that larger sunflower. Good job I realised that just before sticking. Right, so that one's on there, and now I can add on this one with the foam squares. Try and line it up with those petals as neatly as I can. And then gently drop down. That way it's not stuck yet, so if I wasn't happy I could pick it up and move it and nothing's stuck yet. But that looks good, so push down to stick. Then next up is the last green piece, which will be glued on. Now we'll move on to the front of the big sunflower at the back. You'll notice on some of these pieces I've drawn a little arrow on them. This is just to remind myself which way up they go when I'm sticking them together, because I found it a little tricky trying to move all the petals around, getting them to line up. So just a little pencil mark in the middle with an arrow can make it easier for knowing which way to put it back after you've added the adhesive on the back. And I've done that on a few of the different layers, so if you're spotting arrows or other shapes, that's why I've got them. It's okay to draw them in the middle because the circle bit of the sunflower face will cover that up so you won't see it. This is a foam square layer. It's going to go on here, but this petal will overlap into the green a little bit. So don't add any foam squares right in the edge of that petal because we need it to just sit over there and overlap. I'll turn that round. And which petal is it? That one with the pointy tip. Okay, so I'll just add one on the bottom for that one. All the others can have a foam square in them. Sticking it to my fingernails. And then a couple in the middle. So it's easier to work out where it goes now with that arrow. And stick down. Next up is the yellow layer to go on top, which will be glued on. Then we can build up the face of this sunflower, starting with the middle bit, which will be done with foam squares. You can position his face whichever direction you want. I'm going to have him sort of with his eyes up here to match how it looks in Design Space. Of course, if you wanted to, you could leave off the face and just have it as more of a kind of traditional sunflower. Next up is the face piece without the cheek cutouts. It'll be the one in the lighter colour. And this is glued on. And then finally, this one with those ovals for the cheeks, and again it's glued. Line up the eye cutouts so you can see that darker colour through. Like that. He's so cute. And then we can move on to the smaller sunflower. We've got this piece first, which will be glued on, and this is going to overlap now onto these bits. I did a heart this time instead of an arrow. No real reason to it. There we are. And then next up is the other orange layer, and this one will be done with foam squares. There's that one, and then the yellow to be glued on top. This time we've got a white layer for the face, which will be done with foam squares. Then the darker layer with the two tiny little circle cutouts for the eyes. Just going to check which way around I want those to go. I want him looking to the right, so I need to glue that side. It does work both way around, so it doesn't matter too much. I just kind of want him looking like he's looking up towards his dad's sunflower. And then the orange one. Cute little sunflowers finished. Now for the flower pot. You can either glue this one on or use your foam squares, it doesn't matter. I am going to... decisions. So if you glue it, it means that by the time you've added the top bit on, it'll be kind of one layer lower than the face on this one. If you foam square this one, then everything will end up flush with that face. I'm going to glue it, I think. Then next up is the lighter piece along the top, also glued. And finally the rim for the top of the flower pot with foam squares. There we go, my cute little father and son sunflower pair, all finished and ready to go in the frame. You can see as I turn it, all of the levels and layers in there from all the foam squares. This is so bright and colourful and cheerful, and I love how it's turned out. So what I'm going to do now is add it into the frame and also put together my greetings card version, and then I'll show you how they both look. Here it is, all framed. I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit so you can see better. There we go. It's so lovely. I really like this design, and although I have made it with Father's Day in mind, I also really like that it can be used for anything or even no occasion at all. Just make it as a lovely, lovely craft. So here's the shadow box version, the one I've just stuck together with all those layers in it, and then I've also done the greetings card version, which looks like this. For this one, I glued everything apart from the very bottom layer of the faces. So that's the white one for this one and the darkest one for this one. And I also used foam squares for the rim of the flower pot. But everything else is glued, so that you can see there's not a lot of depth in here. And that's because I didn't want to get it so that it was so thick that it would cost more money to post. So this one can be posted with just a standard postage stamp here in the UK. And then there's my dad that I put on the bottom with that offset layer around to help make it really look like it belongs. So there we have it, our sunflower Father's Day project all finished. If you'd like to find even more flower pots, then head to craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs. I've already released lots of different ones. We've got birthday, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Mardi Gras, Easter. I'm sure there's some more as well that I can't bring to mind. Graduation, which was also a sunflower, but a slightly different one to these. And I've got lots more coming up very soon. Later on in June, I'll be releasing a Calendar Day flower pot and a 4th of July America-themed flower pot, so keep an eye out for those. And then later on in the year, the next ones coming out after that will be new baby themed, wedding themed, and there's one more back to school themed, that's it. And then of course we'll have Halloween, Thanksgiving and Christmas a little bit later on in the year too. If there are any other occasions you think would work really nicely in flower pot format, leave me a comment underneath this video. I love getting suggestions for future designs. And of course, all those flower pots I just mentioned are all free to download. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this sunflower craft project. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!